Imagine this. You've just spent hours at the salon getting those gorgeous braids for your vacation that make you feel like the queen you are. Your stylist hands you the mirror, and you can't help but to smile at your reflection because it looks exactly how you wanted it. But beneath that beauty, there is an invisible threat lurking, one that could impact your health in ways you never imagined. Recent investigations have uncovered a hidden danger in some synthetic braiding hair products: the presence of toxic chemicals. This isn't just a minor concern, though. It's a wake-up call for all of us who cherish our protective styles. And today, we're going to get into it. Let's go, family. What's up, family, and welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Wellness Podcast, where we dive into all things health and wellness from the Black perspective. I'm your host, Cori, and today we're getting into a recent discovery of the hidden dangers of our braiding hair. So grab your tea, your journal, and your pen, and let's get into it. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to my supporters on Buy Me a Coffee. Y'all keep this show going. But before we begin, y'all know how we do. We always begin with 30 seconds of gratitude. Today, I'm grateful for my health, especially in light of this story, which was so shocking and jarring, and frankly, it was pretty scary. Knowing how many years that I myself have used synthetic braiding hair on myself and on my daughter, it is a very scary realization, and I am definitely thinking through some things. It made me, rethink some things when I found this out. I'm also grateful for knowledge and grateful to be in a position to help my community remain aware and informed of things that may be being kept quiet. Now, that may have been more than 30 seconds. I don't know. I didn't time it. But it's okay because, again, practicing gratitude is not necessarily ignoring the bad. However, it is allowing me to focus on the good. And that helps the struggles and the challenges a little easier to deal with. Now let's go, family. Our crowns, our hair, are sacred. It is, they've called Black women's hair our crowning glory. And hair is so important in our community. But so is what we put on our heads and ultimately on our skin. And little did we know that it is affecting our health more than we ever could have realized. In the Consumer Reports study, it found that 10 of the most popular braiding hair brands contain cancer-causing chemicals like lead, benzene, and methylene chloride, which the EPA says can lead to liver and lung cancer after chronic exposure. No levels of methylene chloride is permitted in cosmetics by the FDA. So it is very important to note that. Think about that as we go through the rest of this episode. The presence of these chemicals in synthetic braiding hair poses significant health concerns. For example, chronic exposure to benzene is linked to bone marrow suppression, leading to blood disorders like anemia and increased risk of leukemia. Long-term exposure to methylene chloride is associated with liver toxicity and an elevated risk of certain other cancers. Long exposure to lead, as many of us know through various studies and the cases that have been in the media, they can damage the brain and nervous system, leading to cognitive impairments, memory loss, and even mood disorders. Adults may experience headaches and difficulties with concentration and irritability. Lead exposure has also been connected to cardiovascular issues like high blood pressure and increased risk of heart disease, as well as reproductive health issues, causing reduced sperm count in men and complications during pregnancy for women, including miscarriages and premature birth, and so many more health issues. And Black women are at a higher risk for this because the U.S. has so few regulations on toxic chemicals in beauty products, and Black hair care products are disproportionately contaminated with harmful ingredients. Protective styles are worn for weeks by us, meaning longer term exposure to the toxins that are contained in and on these synthetic fibers. And many of us weren't taught to question what's in our hair products because, frankly, the beauty industry simply hasn't been transparent for us. And historically, there has been a lack of regulation in beauty products for Black women. For decades, the beauty industry has largely overlooked the safety of products marketed specifically to Black women. Hair care products like relaxers, dyes, and synthetic extensions have been found to contain toxic ingredients, yet regulation and oversight have lagged behind. And unlike mainstream beauty products that face more scrutiny, those specifically designed for Black hair have often been underregulated, allowing harmful chemicals to slip through without proper testing or transparency. But this isn't a new issue. From the early 20th century, when chemical relaxers were first introduced to modern day braiding hair and lace front wig adhesives, Black women have been encouraged to use products that promise manageability, length, and style without being warned of potential risks. Research has repeatedly shown that products targeted toward Black consumers contain higher levels of endocrine disruptors, formaldehyde, parabens, phthalates, and other toxic chemicals linked to serious health concerns. Yet, the regulatory bodies like the FDA have historically failed to intervene in any meaningful way. Even now, with hair extensions, weaves, and braiding hair being staples in protective styling, we are not subject to the same safety requirements as other cosmetic products. The burden of identifying harmful chemicals often falls on us, the consumer, rather than the manufacturers of these products or the regulatory agencies that are responsible for public health. This lack of protection reflects a long-standing pattern of neglect when it comes to Black women's health. Now, the impact of toxic beauty products extends far beyond our hair and skin. It directly correlates with serious health disparities that disproportionately affect Black women. Now, studies have linked the exposure to these harmful chemicals that are in our hair care products to things like higher rates of uterine fibroids. Now, y'all, I don't think I know a Black woman who has not had fibroids. Every single Black woman that I know has had a battle with fibroids, and fibroids are painful, and they are life altering, and they are disruptive to our very lives. And according to these studies, Black women are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop fibroids than white women. And research has suggested a connection between long-term exposure to endocrine disrupting chemicals found in our hair products and the growth of fibroids. I can remember my battle with fibroids. It was an absolute debilitating experience. And now I have such concerns watching my young daughter grow. She's only 19, and I am so scared for her because I'm worried about her risk and the amount of pain that I often witness her in, especially when it is time for her to have her monthly cycle. I'm so concerned about it. And listening to this and reading this and getting this information heightens those concerns. And it makes me just think back and start to create a correlation between things that I've been through and some of my friends and family members have been through, and the things that have been marketed to us for our hair. Studies have also shown an increased risk of breast cancer. So frequent use of hair relaxers and dyes has been associated with a higher risk of breast cancer, with studies showing that Black women who use these products regularly are at an increased risk of hormone-sensitive cancers. It's also been linked to early puberty in young Black girls. Many hair care products contain estrogen-mimicking chemicals that can disrupt normal hormone function, potentially leading to earlier onset puberty, which has been linked to greater risks later in life. And I don't know about you, but I have been noticing this trend of our girls, beginning their menstrual cycles much earlier, beginning to form breasts much earlier, some as young as 8 or 9 years old. And again, when you sit back and you think about what we're doing to our hair, how these young girls are having their hair braided oftentimes with the use of synthetic hair that young. And now, look, the correlation, it is very scary, family. It really is so scary and so jarring. And another thing that is affecting Black women more disproportionately that may be linked to this are respiratory issues and skin reactions. So synthetic hair, especially when it is burned or styled with heat, can release volatile organic compounds, or the VOCs that I spoke about earlier, that may trigger breathing problems, skin irritation, and even neurological effects from prolonged exposure. And again, when we're getting our hair braided, when we are getting those ends done, what normally happens at the end? Our hair is either styled with burning the ends or heating it up with extremely hot water. And that is further exposing us to these chemicals. But you see, these risks are not coincidental. They are the result of a systemic disregard for the health of Black women and a failure to regulate an industry that profits heavily from our cultural beauty practices. Like, the beauty industry is a billion-dollar industry. And they are profiting on basically the mistreatment of Black bodies. This issue goes so far beyond personal style or beauty trends. It's actually about health justice and the fundamental right that we have to safe products. Black women have the right to wear protective styles without unknowingly exposing ourselves to carcinogens and toxic substances. The fact that these hazardous materials are so pervasive in our beauty industry underscores a much larger issue: the racial disparities in health, environmental justice, and consumer safety. I know at this point you're probably thinking, like, what am I going to do? I don't want to give up my protective styles. How can I protect myself? And how can I reduce my exposure? Because honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. Protective styles are a staple for me. My life is so busy. I've got 4 teenagers at home and I'm constantly on the go. So I often don't have time for wash and goes and twist outs and braid outs. I don't have time for that. In addition to running a business and hosting a podcast and being in school, I don't have time. So a staple for me are protective styles. So I'm going to give you a few tips of things that I have found helpful that help to lessen my exposure, right? So number one, before an install, like start off by looking for brands that test for heavy metals if that's possible. I have a few suggestions of brands that are non-toxic that I will give you in just a minute after I give you these tips. Number two, always detox and protect your scalp by rinsing your synthetic hair in an apple cider vinegar solution. Mine is apple cider vinegar, some shampoo. I usually use V8 405. I think I get it from Dollar Tree or somewhere like that for like $1. And water, hot water. And I rinse that in there and I let it stay in there for hours. And then I allow it to dry overnight. I never install it straight out of the bag because that does help to remove some of these surface chemicals. Now, which ones? I don't know. I'm not a chemist. I don't have a lab here, so I'm not testing it. However, like when you do this, if you look at the water, you'll see that the water will be very dirty. All right. Yeah, that's a whole different. Okay. So some scalp care tips. Make sure that you are deep conditioning your hair before and after your installs. And also after your installs, do a ACV rinse on your scalp after you remove your protective style because ACV rinses get the scalp cleaner and it gets to impurities and things that regular shampoos often can't get to. So I always do an ACV rinse because it is really, really good and it helps to remove any itchiness and any buildup and all of that while you are wearing your protective styles. Right? So, and also while you're wearing your protective styles, use barrier oils like jojoba or castor oil, which are really good for our hair anyway, because it helps the hair to be healthy. And it also does help with growth and retention. And these oils also create this barrier between your hair and the toxins that are on the braiding hair. Next, wear other styles that reduce some scalp tension and exposure, such as braid outs, wash and goes, and even wigs. That does help to give that scalp a chance to breathe with no toxins on top. Also, wear your protective braided styles using synthetic hair for shorter periods of time. So the longer that you wear these braided styles, the more exposure. So instead of wearing them the normal length of time, so like I know some people, depending on the style, may wear them for like 6 to 8 weeks, like shorten it by a couple of weeks. And I know it may be inconvenient and I know it may be frustrating, but your health is dependent upon it. Also, take some breaks between your protective styles when using synthetic hair. This limits the exposure, but it also gives your hair a break from the tension that comes with the added weight of braiding hair. Now, the braiding hair may be light, but when you start to braid all the hair and you get it all in there, it does get a bit heavy. Like right now, the style I'm wearing is kind of heavy. And I've had this one in a couple of weeks, so I'll be removing this one tomorrow and I'll be doing all the things that I just described to you. And I'll be giving my hair a break. I'll probably do like a twist out or a braid out or something like that and give my hair a break for a little bit. I won't be going back to my protective styles for probably a few weeks, maybe even a month or so to really kind of give my scalp a break. Now, after following those steps, right, you may, again, you're like, okay, so now how can I still enjoy my beautiful braids and still protect my health at the same time? So now consider these. These are the 3 brands that I was able to find, and I've actually used one of these. All right. So the first one is named Rebundle. This innovative brand offers plant-based braiding hair made from repurposed banana fibers. Their products are lightweight, comfortable, and free from harmful chemicals. And for me, they didn't itch. So that was always a plus for me. The next brand is Docile Beauty, which is a Black-owned brand providing hypoallergenic, itch-free braiding hair. And again, itch-free is always a plus for me because I have really sensitive skin and the least little thing will make me itch. So that was a huge bonus for me. Their products are pre-stretched, soft-textured, and free from toxic chemicals, making them ideal again for sensitive scalps. And the final brand on the list is Ruka. It's spelled Ruka. I don't know if it's Ruka or I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Ruka's Hairs Braided. And this brand offers hypoallergenic, biodegradable, tongue-tied. Let's try that again. Hypoallergenic, biodegradable braiding hair that is gentle on the scalp and the environment. Their products are designed to mimic the texture of natural hair, providing for a seamless blend. So like that, y'all know we all want our braids to look seamless. So that is an absolute bonus. I haven't tried Ruka's hair braided just yet, but I am going to be trying it for a style that I'm thinking about doing this spring. I'll let you guys know how that goes. All right, so now all this information that I've just given you is probably like, whoa, okay? But what is the awareness without some action, right? Some advocacy of some sort. Okay? So again, like I stated, support the brands that prioritize your safety and that will pressure companies for transparency in their ingredients, such as the 3 brands I just mentioned. Also, make a push for beauty industry regulations that protect Black consumers. For years, Black women have been told to do our own research and to choose better products. But the reality is that safe alternatives are often inaccessible to us, unaffordable, or simply not labeled clear enough for us to make informed choices. This is not just about personal responsibility, but it is about demanding accountability from the manufacturers of these products and retailers and policymakers who have ignored these health risks for far too long. Advocating for clean beauty standards for us, pushing for greater transparency in labeling, and supporting brands that prioritize non-toxic ingredients is not just a consumer issue. It is a public health necessity, and we deserve better. Now, I know that it's going to be difficult because many of the most popular braiding hair brands were on this list, the 10 most popular. And while it is important to note that they have denied all of this and they stand by the safety of their products, the data is the data. Now, I know that was a lot of information, family, and to be honest with you, it was quite overwhelming when I began doing my research, and this was an overwhelming episode for me as well, but I hope that it was as eye-opening for you as it was for me. Because this is something that once you know it, you can't go back to no longer knowing it. And so that means that we're going to have to use this information to make different choices for our health. And today we unpacked all the disturbing reports about toxic chemicals in our synthetic braiding hair. We talked about the steps to protect ourselves. And we highlighted some safer alternatives. And again, those will be in the show notes. I will leave all the links to all the resources referenced in this episode. They will be in the show notes. Because at the end of the day, our hair is a source of beauty, pride, and identity. But it should never come at the cost of our health. It is time for us to demand better. Protective styles should be just that, protective for our hair and for our health, because we deserve it. Next week, we're going to switch gears a bit with a special guest as we explore reflexology and how it can help with pain and stress relief. You won't want to miss it. And family, if this episode resonated with you, please, please, please share this with a friend that you know needs to know this information. Follow the show on all the socials, rate it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you stream your podcast. We need to keep this conversation going so that it can no longer be hidden and unspoken. And if you'd like to connect with me, leave me a comment on this episode. Share with me your stories about your journey and your experiences with synthetic hair. I'd love to hear from you. Please leave me a comment on this episode or follow the link in the show notes for all the ways that you can stay in touch with me. And as always, family, stay informed, stay safe, and take care of yourselves. Until next time, be well.